hanging out and watching a film. Hello friends and welcome back to ReddX, your source for the freshest daily cringe content anywhere on the internet. Promise, swearsies, it's just a fact and it's totally science. Go ahead and look it up. Today we're diving into rSlash Tales of Neckbeards. Yes, indeed, it is actually from rSlash Tales of Neckbeards. I don't know how I tagged the video or whatever. I did the whole thing wrong yesterday, but nobody seemed to notice or call me out on it, so I just appreciate that. You guys rolling with the punches, and that's really what we're all about here. Really, it haunts my dreams. I look at the video and I'm like, imperfect. But imperfect is, yeah, our bread and butter. All of our study subjects are imperfect, including the one that we have today. Yes, indeed, it is shorts returning. We did parts 1 and 2 in a previous video. I will link that in the description if you haven't seen it. He's quite a specimen. I came after OP's parents. OP actually came to me in the Discord to explain her parents' side of the story, so you know, it's hard to judge things from just a Reddit post, but with some context, hopefully I'll do a little bit better today. So let's get some plugs and disclaimers out of the way, and then we will dive right into some neckbeard cringe. The Long Tail of Shorts, Part 3, 2016. Crossing the line repeatedly. As beards are wont to do, it could probably be the subtitle for every post in this subreddit. Well, this is the year that everything started to fall apart. I had started video calls with Shorts in this weird, coerced attempt to get to know him as a friend. This is after he had laid on a thick layer of manipulative bullshit for my parents to believe, and in turn, they would fall into this trap as well. Well, the calls with Shorts started getting really weird. He started talking about how much he wanted to sleep with a girl. I really want to fuck. I do. We're off to such a good start. He whined. Sometimes I see an attractive girl walking by, and I can't help but think about what it would be like to, you know, do it with them. That's about the point where I would say, do what? What? Say it with your mouth. Mind you, he was trying to get with me at this point. I don't know if this was like his weird attempt at trying to make me feel insecure about losing him, but boy howdy did it do the exact opposite. I immediately cut that convo short and called Caden to chill out and relax over some mellow conversation and Pokemon trading card game. There were also other incredibly uncomfortable calls with Shorts. At one point, he made a passing joke about some boxer shorts that he wanted. And this turned from a weird, dumb joke in passing to him sharing his screen and browsing shopping sites for shorts that he wanted. This is only part of the reason that we are referring to him as Shorts. It stopped being a joke when he asked me to pick one for him. Oh, God. He wouldn't let it go either. Again, these calls would get so bizarre and uncomfortable that it became almost routine to hang out with Caden and or our other friends afterwards. I needed something normal. Yeah, you needed something to cleanse yourself. I didn't really have anyone else to talk to at that point. At this stage, my mom would literally follow me around the house and harass me constantly about why I wouldn't get with Shorts. Oh, I had a big problem with this in the first episode. I'm gonna bite my tongue this time around. We would fight and get into constant yelling matches about it, basically 24/7. My dad legit stopped when he saw how obsessed my mom was about it. I eventually tried to talk to my dad about it, and he tried to reason with my mom, but it was no good. So you have to understand, this was a very sensitive time for OP's mother. She's a very empathetic person, so I've been told. Is all that good enough reason to try and drive your daughter into the clutches of a neckbeard? I leave that up to you, comment section. My mom would come into my room at all hours, even at night, just to harass me about it. She wild. And every time that we were at church, Shorts just added fuel to the fire. I don't even know exactly what he was saying to her, but it had to be fucking spectacular to make her turn against me and see me as this evil bitch who wouldn't give this nice young man a chance. I was crying basically every night. She would text me about it at work. Oh God, hold my tongue. I worked 11-hour shifts, and every time she texted, I would have a panic attack and have to run into the public restroom to deal with it. My life at home was hell because of him. Caden knew it. My dad knew it. My brother knew it. Everyone fucking knew it. Amy even offered to take me out with her friends just to get me away from it. This was also the stage where Shorts would occasionally try to get touchy-feely at very inappropriate times, too. Is there ever a right time to get touched by a beard? I ask you. For example, there was this one time that I had randomly passed out on the bathroom floor at home. I was pale white and I could barely stand. I went to the doctor and found out that I had an iron deficiency, but I still looked awful for about a week after. I had no color in my skin. I was basically just a walking corpse. People at church were super concerned and asked if I was okay. Shorts did not say shit. Now at the time, he was in choir with us. He tried to make it a point to sit next to me at all times. Well, I started feeling woozy and sat down, and he tried to pull a, "You okay, babe?" I just quickly responded with, "I'm not your babe, and no, I'm not okay. I just need to sit down for a bit." And this prompted this neck-bearded motherfucker to start rubbing my thigh. No, I wasn't taking this shit today. And I said loudly in the middle of church service, "You get your fucking hand off my leg or I'm removing it myself." I think you mean the whole hand? Break his hand off and throw it in the balcony. Now that's a church service to remember. Everyone looked back, and he nervously laughed and got up, trying to pretend that nothing had happened. Could not possibly get any worse than this, right? Well, if that wasn't bad enough, his views on friendships in general was just absolutely abysmal. Yes, tell us about that, OP. One evening, my childhood friend messaged me saying that her and her boyfriend were almost in a head-on collision with a drunk driver. This was a terrifying time for her. She already had PTSD from repeated abuse from her family, and now had this traumatic experience. She would wake up having nightmares, and I would call to help her out. One week, I was so tired that I made the mistake of telling Shorts about this situation. I had mentioned that I had known this person since we were like 4 or 5 years old. Well, when I told him what she was dealing with, he said, "Oh, that sounds like too much to deal with. I wouldn't stick around for that." What do you mean? "Well, I wouldn't deal with that. I would just let them deal with it and maybe call later to hang out with them, but only after they calm down." Calm down? She almost died. She's scared as hell, and reasonably so. I'm not ditching a childhood friend to just deal with that just because it's hard. Is this how you treat all of your fucking friends? Yeah, all 2 of them. I'm gonna go ask them. I was boiling with rage right now. "Well, not you," he smirked. "Trying to get into my pants doesn't count. Is this how you treat your relationships too? Why do you think I've even been entertaining a friendship with you? It matters to me. I need, at the very least, a decent friendship before I even try to get close with anyone." He scoffed. "You don't need friendship in a relationship." Yep. The boys never had a relationship. I can tell. How the fuck do you think these things even start?
They just happen. It's a feeling. Friendship is a platonic thing.
It took me a moment to process this stupidity, but once I did, I lost every ounce of chill that existed in my body. So, you expect people to do for you while you won't do shit for others. You only want to stick around when it's good and ditch when it gets too hard? What if your significant other and you had a serious issue? Would you just not talk about it and hope that it goes away? I was yelling at this point.
Well, no, but
then how? You can't talk with your significant other on an equal plane if they're not even your friend. They're not allowed to struggle with anything, and if they do, they should just deal with it on their own. How the fuck do you expect anything to work like that? I don't think it's worth getting wound up over, honestly. Like, well, this dude doesn't get it. That's fine. Eventually you'll learn, or not. Not my circus, not my monkeys. Ain't my fucking job to tutor you on how to have a proper relationship. My mom jumped in, seeing how heated I was getting. Shorts just sat there all pie-eyed that I had even yelled at him. "What's all the yelling?" she asked, and I just flat out said, "This dude here thinks that you can just spawn a relationship on feelings and nothing else," I said. Again, zero chill. Shorts just sat there all quiet, and my mom stared for a moment and said, "No, relationships are give and take. What one can't do, the other one should acknowledge and reciprocate. Friendship is an equal plane. You and your significant other can relate to each other during harsh times, and that equality is what makes a relationship bond and grow stronger." This woman's got the patience of a saint. You're wasting your breath. To this, Shorts eloquently responded with,
"Well, that's just socialism."
What? Oh, God. He doesn't know how to have a relationship. He doesn't know what the hell socialism is. He's just sitting there saying words. You can't make this up, dude. What is even happening? My mom was dumbfounded. And I sat there staring at her with a look that said, "Do you get it now?" I walked outside to cool off. That got me good, man. God! He suggested that I ditch my childhood friend and then scoffed at me when I told him what I needed. Like what I said had meant fucking nothing. I assumed that he talked to my mom when I was out, because then she came back and said, "Well, it was just a misunderstanding." What? What kind of bullshit was he feeding you? I wouldn't fully understand the kind of bullshit until later, but I promise that we'll get into that in a future part. Ooh, greedy hand drumming intensifies. At this point, I could make a whole wardrobe of clothes out of all the red flags that he had given me. My interest in being his friend had now become a deep-seated hatred. My relationship with my mom was so strained that every second at home was torture. He had manipulated her so deeply into thinking that
he was this perfect gentleman, while I was just a bitch who wouldn't even give him a chance.
Every time I had shown interest in anyone else, he would immediately interject himself into the conversation. My whole life was a mess. My only reprieve at this point was the job that I hated, or Caden. Well, Shorts thought that now was the perfect time to ask me out via email from his @AOL.com address, I'm guessing, if he could take me to an arcade. My mom saw, and I had already told her that I did not want to go. But when we got home, my mom kept saying, "You should just give him a chance." We then got into a screaming match over it when I continued to refuse. This went on until I was so worn out that I just caved to get her off my back. I went to the arcade and it was, I don't know, fine. I don't really remember much other than that there were moments when he kept trying to go back to the same old talking points. I don't know if I was just too emotionally drained to care at that point. Mentally, I was very absent. That would not be the first date that I was forced into. Oh no, there was one more, and this date would prove to be the worst that I could ever experience. I'm gonna have to make that its own thing. There's too much involved in it, and it really did force everything to come to a head. Well, you think I could just leave it off on a cliffhanger like that? Hell no, bro. We're gonna keep this cringe train rolling. The next story's longer, but whatever. Beefy video today. Enjoy! Let's do it. The Long Tale of Shorts, part number 4. Early 2016, The Catalyst. Warning, this part gets a bit heavy. If you have a problem with themes of unwanted handling or guilt-trippy conversations, then this part is not for you. I'll simply say that this didn't get as bad as it could have due to the fact that there were other people around. Massive disclaimer before I even start. I want to try and explain the mentality that my parents and I were dealing with. I know some of what I've said in previous posts was pretty gnarly, but I will say this. My parents were just as much of a victim of this guy. My parents were immigrants, and even now there are still some gaps in their knowledge about some of the cultures here, especially revolving around behaviors of people. Briefs, who is Short's stepfather, I believe, for those keeping track, was somewhat complicit in the confusion by defending the behaviors and treating these red flags like something normal that just happens here. I mean, it kinda is. Welcome to America, but it really shouldn't be. My dad didn't really care as much about my relationships, or if I even had any. I didn't really care about it so much myself. My mom, on the other hand, was raised under extremely old-fashioned ideals. That, in combination with her health issues at the time, and the fact that I was her only daughter, made her extremely worried about how I would turn out. She had some health scares, and was in the process of trying to determine if she had cancer or not. She had expressed to me that her fear was that she would die, leaving me alone. And I will say that after she had gotten surgery and started recovering, she was mentally here and had started seeing all the red flags that I was seeing. The fear was slowly starting to subside, and we did seek counseling and therapy after all this mess. We're actually really close now. I'll make a story detailing how she came to her moment of clarity. It's actually really nice and goes back to a deeply rooted connection that we had. Whatever happened to the father? Is he not going to be there when the mom dies? What's the deal with that? It's much better to shove her off on a neckbeard? But I'm glad your relationship with your mom's better now. I'm gonna take it all with a grain of salt. That's fine. It happened. But really it shouldn't have happened. Parents are supposed to be the shield. Anyways, around this time, Shorts started really leaning into the typical neckbeard appearance. He even made it a point to shave his beard that way at one point. He bought a fedora and was even adopting the lingo. Granted, he was doing it as a joke, but it stops being a joke when your behavior and attitude is just that. Even if you removed all of that from his appearance, his entire persona was just this, even in his jokes, and it was getting old.
Yeah, I'm a neckbeard, but only ironically.
Hipster beard, is that you?
You can't objectively prove I'm a neckbeard.
Around this time, I made it a point to keep our communications strictly to emails. These emails would be mild, mostly, but with the occasional weirdness thrown in. He just kinda started trying to morph his personality into things that I liked. I wasn't sure if this was his way of getting me to try and like him, but it was not working. It felt really fake, and basically just made me even more uncomfortable. At this point, I had absolutely no peace at home or at church, and I was in a constant state of anxiety. I think I just got so used to being uncomfortable that became the new normal. I was making stupid decision after stupid decision. I was just exhausted and having regular panic attacks over this guy. So much so that it became routine, even at my job. I looked awful and I felt awful 24/7. God damn, that is a horrible situation to be in. What do you even do? Like, just move to the next state over? Try and start over with new friends and maybe even a new family? This is a terrible situation. Caden and I still remain close friends, along with other mutual friends of ours. Amy had also tried her best to get me away by inviting me out with her friends. I was just absent. I eventually started losing my patience and decided that I was going to tell Amy about Caden. She actually took it extremely well. I showed her what he looked like, some of the messages we sent, some of the things that we liked, and she genuinely thought that it was cute. Caden and I weren't even together yet, but I think she knew that it was basically just a matter of time. While all that was happening, Short started getting a bit too comfortable in calls. He started admitting to some of the weird shit that he would do in high school. For example, there was a time he was taking classes with this Mormon chick. She wasn't engaging him in conversation at all, and she was just walking home with some guy friends of hers. Well, apparently he felt compelled to start following her and harass her over everything but mainly her religion. I asked why the fuck he would do that, and he just nonchalantly said,
I don't know. I just felt like it at the time.
Ah yes, an old go-to classic.
Give up your entire belief structure for me. I'm the man of your dreams as long as I can nag you into thinking so.
Oh boy. Well, apparently he harassed her so bad that she got sick of his shit, whipped around and punched him square in the face. Love it. He fell on his ass and threatened to call the cops on her. Boy, this brings to mind the story from Ramtide yesterday. To which she responded with the phone in her hand, "Bitch, I'll call them for you." Oh man, it's the best line. All the while, her guy friends were basically holding her back. I don't know why he felt the need to tell me that story. He said,
I say that because I acknowledge my mistakes, and I've changed a lot since then.
Maybe he has, but only regarding Mormons specifically. To this day, I have no idea why or how this conversation came up, or why he even felt that it was important to mention. In hindsight, I can only theorize that he was trying to get with this girl, and she wasn't having it, hence why he started following her and berating her. It would also make sense why she was walking home with her guy friends at the time. Big brain play. This would also be one of many red banners that I would ponder about for days. There's past behavior, and then there's patterns of behavior. Ooh, I like that line. He still had these patterns, and was now trying to pretend that he didn't. Well, fast forward to him asking me out to a movie. He had tickets to see Deadpool, and invited me. Oh my god, we've had so many Deadpool beards. This is just like a callback to every beard story. My whole life is beard-centric at this point. At this point, I tried my best to tell him in the gentlest way that I was simply not interested in him. He would then claim that
I was leading him on.
Excuse me? Me trying to be civil and trying to still remain friendly despite what the hell I was experiencing was somehow leading him on. Me saying that I'm okay with us being friends was leading him on. I did not even know how to approach that. When my mom and I got home, I told her that I did not want to fucking go out with this guy. I was done. I was tired. I was on the verge of mentally breaking down. And of course, we got into a really big argument about it. I think he might have said something to her beforehand, because she started saying things like, "You won't give this nice guy a chance," which was extremely unlike her. That's the only thing I could think of for why all that happened. The conflict was getting bad, and I just wanted it to stop. So I eventually agreed to go just so I could have some fucking peace. Persistence, oldest trick in the Neckbeard book, I'll tell you that much. When all else fails, grind her will down into dust. I hate it. That being said, my dad really started to despise shorts, so he and I started forming ideas to lay the boundaries with him. He'd already claimed that I was leading him on, so whenever he tried to get flirty or tried to give me pet names in conversations, I would cut him off and remind him that he had no right to do that. I would constantly remind him that we weren't really even good friends, and that he needed to back off. I like it. Don't let the Neckbeard train gather any steam. I even had these conversations in front of Amy, which I think added a good chunk of pressure on him to chill the hell out. For a while, it seemed like he was starting to become successful. He'd even broken in conversation and said,
"Yeah, okay, listen, I get it. We're just two people trying to see a movie. It's fine. You don't need to freak out about it."
"Oh yeah, try to flip this around on me. Bitch, I am not freaking out without due cause, okay?" He eventually kept trying to reassure me that it was gonna be just us
hanging out and watching a film, and that there wouldn't be any weirdness.
Yeah, right. I had hoped that this would be the case. Hope floats. Well, one evening, my family and I did have a tiny moment of peace. My mom brought home some brandy, and my dad, my mom, and I we had a moment to just chill out at home and get a little goofy. I hopped on a call with some of my friends. Caden was at work at the time. I was out of it and being goofy as shit. It was funny at the time, even for me, because one of my friends had messaged Caden about it. Suddenly, I got calls from Caden. He was in his car just getting off work, and he didn't think that me being drunk was funny. Aw boy. Another possessive one trying to tell OP what they could do with their bodies. Come on now. She's drinking with her parents. Lay the fuck off. He was actually very concerned. In the middle of me goofing off, he snapped at me and said, "Please, just stop and answer me. Tell me, are you even happy? Like, at all?" I went deathly silent for a moment. That was the first time that I had ever been asked that question in my life, and I knew what the answer was, but I couldn't bring myself to tell him. I'm not sure how I responded to that. I'm pretty sure I snapped with a bitchy, "Well, yeah," and said something stupid to deflect. He didn't push it any further than that, and just stayed with me until we were both calm. I didn't need a fucking knight in shining armor. I just needed a regular person to talk to and to be there. And this pink-haired goofball was there for me, even just as a friend. I would almost argue that that was the question that would slowly help me realize where I was and what I needed to do for myself. Well, the day of the date came around. The plan was to go have some fast food and then see Deadpool. Keep it uncomplicated. Before we even went, I had to clarify with Shorts. "Okay, I'm just coming along as a friend. I just want to get to know you as a friend. Okay?"
Yeah, I know.
He agreed, and we went. Is that really agreement, though? Sounds like a brush off to me, bro. When we were at the fast food place, it was actually fine. It was the first time that we had a conversation outside of the circular BS. I just finally got to talk about art, and for the first time in the entirety of our friendship, he reciprocated the conversation without ridicule. It was a sudden breath of fresh air, and I thought maybe things wouldn't be so bad. We went to a daytime showing of Deadpool, so it was just us and a family of 5 somewhere behind us. Very empty theater. The movie started and it was fun. I was getting into it, and so far, there wasn't any weirdness. And then he turned to me with these longing eyes, which just turned out to be creepy, and my smile left my face in an instant.
Hey, do you want a kiss?
He asked. I just looked him dead in the face and said, no, absolutely not, fucking cheeseburger breath.
But why not?
He whined.
I took you to a movie and everything.
Oh, God. What does that entitle you to? Can you lay out the contract for me? Fucking weirdo. I started to lean away from him at this point and look behind me at the family that was watching. Can we not do this? There's people watching, I said.
But why not?
Because I don't like you like that. I made that very clear before we even did this. I thought we were going to at least try to get to know each other as friends, or at the very least, just enjoy a goofy film. And I thought that you were capable of respecting that. He sighed and leaned back in his seat for a moment before saying,
Hey, could I at least hold your hand?
Oh, God. The pathetic levels are redlining at this point. No. And you're making this weird now. You keep saying I'm leading you on, and I'm clearly not. I told you what the boundaries were before we left to do this. I'm not going to hold your fucking hand. Well, now he started getting irritated and sighed again before saying,
You're a bit of a prude. You don't really understand how relationships work.
Based on the last story, bro, irony.
And I think you're just scared to try new things. And so you can consider this practice. You could practice this stuff on me.
Yeah, I never hold somebody's hand before. This is a whole new world. I wasn't even sure how to respond to such a stupid assumption. And before I could, he just put his arm around me and tried to pull me in. I was resisting, but then he started sniffing my hair and neck as if that was supposed to get me turned on. Ugh. Literal cringe. My spine, it is fractured. Of course, it didn't turn me on. I shoved him away, and he just grabbed at my hand. I got physically cold. The rest of the movie was spent with me trying to reason with him the entire time. He was not taking no for an answer in any capacity. And every time I tried to pull away, he either pulled back or went straight to coercion or guilt tripping. I'm not even sure when, but at some point I just turned off. You always say that you know what you would do in a situation like that, but you really don't until you experience it. I was fucking freaked out and scared, and I didn't know what to do. That was the first time that I had thought to myself, that girl was right. She was 100% right about him. There's no way she was just making this up. And for those not in the know, that girl was a victim of an attempted rape by Shorts, which is why he ended up coming back home from college. She got him kicked out. And I'm right there with OP. I believe her 100%. My hands were limp and cold. I could feel myself going pale. From that point on, he just kept me there for the rest of the movie in any way that he could. I will say that I made damn sure he didn't kiss me, and he didn't really go as far as he could have. He would occasionally look back at the people behind us, and I think that was part of the reason that it didn't get too far, but this did go on for a good majority of the film. Bro, if he goes in for the kiss, just bite his fucking nose off and chew it up and spit it in his eyes. That's my go-to move. When the movie was over, I left the theater and waited outside for my ride, and he waited for his. I kept a decent distance from him the entire time, or at least as much as he allowed. I wanted to be gone. I was trembling. I was not okay. I don't remember what discussion happened after that. I just remember John coming to pick me up, and when he looked at me, I think he realized that something was off, and he started to put some distance in as well. When my mom came to pick me up, I was quiet for most of the ride until she asked why, and that's when I started telling her what he did. I don't think she fully understood what the hell just happened. I didn't even fully acknowledge what had just happened at that point. I said no, didn't mean no to him. The only saving grace was that there were 5 people behind us. I then shut up for the rest of the ride, and when we got home, I locked myself in my room. OP, I'm sorry it happened. Absolute creep fest. I can't even really say that you didn't lay out the boundaries, because you definitely did, and this dude just overstepped them, knowingly. What an absolute piece of shit. Not that we didn't already know that. I hope there is some big fallout for him after this. With everything that happened and everything that I was told by this dude, I wasn't sure what to think or even what to do. After a while, I genuinely blamed myself. So much so that I wrote an apology email to him. I know. that I know was totally like in response. That's probably everybody's reaction to that. The worst part is I went through all the trouble of writing out this huge wall of text about why I lost feelings for him, why I felt that I couldn't get them back, and why I felt rushed on that date. It was a whole elaborate, polite email of an apology that he owed me. And I ended it saying that maybe we could still be friends if he wanted that. I don't even know why I said that. Was I really that far gone? You know what response I got to all that? Here it is. Copy and paste. Minus the real name. Oh, Jesus.
Okay, just don't expect sympathy 10 years from now when you're like, oh shit, you're so rich and strong and handsome. I love how your laser vision strikes fear into those who would dare oppose your iron-fisted rule. You'll see. Winky face.
That's a nod to Adelaide at the end there. But goddamn, this is a real email? That's super wild. Where's he gonna get laser vision? What is he gonna be ruling over with an iron fist? Probably a fast food establishment of some sort. God. We see neckbeards with delusions of grandeur, but this is probably the worst that I've seen so far. The fuck are you even talking about, dude? And no, I'm not kidding. That was the response. Winky face and all. As ashamed as I am to say it, it took me years to finally acknowledge what happened to me. The unwanted touching and groping, the gaslighting, the attempted coercion. The only reason I didn't report them initially was because this was somebody that I thought I could trust not to do this. And I genuinely did not understand the extent of what was going on or how greatly it affected me. Mentally, I downplayed the hell out of it at the time. And as you can see, I was genuinely guilted into believing that it was my fault. This part of the story was hell to write, and I was shaking the whole time. I apologized for my own harassment. Reading back through those emails was a disgusting view into what actually happened and where my head was at. Started seeing it in black and white and writing about what it was, and it was really an eye-opening moment. Now some of you might ask, why not go to a different church? Where? We only had 2 other churches in this denomination. One whose congregation was so batshit that they thought my autistic younger brother was possessed by the devil. What? The other who were extremely nationalist and were not welcoming people. We had nowhere. Even if we did, I was born and raised in this place. Some of the congregation was more like family to me. I wasn't about to ditch my family over this asshole. And for those who ask why my mom would still interact with him and stay close to him, Well, that's a tale of manipulation that he wove for her, which I will exposit in the next part. Please don't think too ill of her. She is an amazing woman that would give the shirt off her back to help someone in need, and she genuinely did see him as someone in need. Well, she's not wrong there. He's in need of a lot of things. A swift kick in the ass is at the top of the list. Her mentality was genuinely warped by this guy and his family, and we actually did have conversations clarifying this after he was ditched from our emotional bubble. Again, that's a story that I'll have to share a different time. First, I have to discuss the aftermath of this disaster, and then I'll regale you with the wonderful moment when my mom and I finally found closure and started to heal. All of this eventually culminates in the eviction of this dude from our lives and eventually from our entire community. Jesus Christ, OP. I mean, nothing but what he deserves. I'd say he even deserves a little bit more than that. Okay, he doesn't go to jail because it wasn't a full sexual assault. Like, how do you even qualify that? You know what I mean? This woman's entire perspective on life was brutalized by some handsy creep in a movie theater. And I threw a couple of jokes into it to try and lighten it up, but goddamn, it really gets my blood boiling. It was so clear the boundaries were completely laid out, and I know he overstepped them on purpose. He had this planned out the entire fucking time, and that's the most disgusting part. But I do want to give you major props, OP, for looking back, realizing all that went wrong, acknowledging that you should not have apologized, and of course, most importantly, sitting down to write this entire saga and share it with other people who either have experienced, will experience, might experience the same thing sometime in their lives. The way it is conveyed is absolutely wonderful. You've really captured the emotion. You've also managed to describe it in detail. How you set up the boundaries, how you tried to avoid the situation, and then the regret that you have about sending the apology after the situation. The story itself, it's pretty heinous. Not the most heinous thing that we've seen on this channel, but it's bad enough to get my blood boiling. But despite the less than stellar nature of the actual material, the story itself was written beautifully. Can't wait to get into part 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's quite a bit of the shorts saga to go, so we'll probably see a few more videos, at least 3 if I'm doing 2 parts per video. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, see how long they are and stuff. Obviously, this episode went way over time of what I usually aim for, but that's fine. It'll all pan out in editing. And I hope you guys will let me know what you think in the comments. Please don't forget to like, comment, and or subscribe if you haven't already. Check out them links in the description. Plenty of plugs, social medias, Twitter, Discord, Facebook, and my gorgeous, wonderful, beautiful, generous patrons. I'd like to thank them all, as I always do. So thank you very much, Calvicus, Fatboy Shrimp, Robert Waits, TSM Kirby, Aaron W, Twisted Child, Delicious Jelly Donut, Candy Sora, Fire Drake, Liverson, Mr. Anime Manga Fan, Silent Revolver, Zero MMX, Magdalene Marshall Thornrose, Little Lone Wolf, Vanilla Mel, Ralph Tower, Satori, Babsy-kun, Caustic Fox, Disposable Waifu, Aaron Lennox, Fisher Diggy, Hadrian BR, Heathcliff, OG James Cook, A Pimp Named J. Crisp, JM Coon, Jerry, John Hero, Miss Monday, Lord Lion-O, that's a new one, Welcome to the Fold, Lord Lion-O, Melgar the Destroyer, Mirthful Baker, my boy Nat One Nick, Lady Nix, Origami Steve, Katykins Elizabeth, Sidestep, Cider Drinker, Serrated Ass, Siegfried, Synaptic Boomstick, Tamago, Tato Ferret, Teddy the Police, 10-Ton Monster, That Duck and Bug, The One True Fusky, Treeberg, Wilmags, Redwind, Goose Says Honk, Leon Embers, Naga Viper, John Indoors, A Normal Joe, A Roxers, Cake, Jerry, that's a different Jerry. KJW, Kajow, Crafty Kitty Cat, Little Ann Woods, Mark 211, maybe next time, Milk-Fed Gimp, Miss Duchess, Origami Cam, Princess Rosalie, Ghosty, Raptor Art, Ellie, and the Last Shinobi. Thank you guys very much for supporting the channel in the way that you do. It really does mean the world to me, and it keeps my motivation sky high, like a little pat at the beginning of the month, like, hey, ReddX, you could do it, 30 videos, get it in. Well, I made 36 videos last month, so hey, we're going to double up some uploads again this month and see how it goes. I hope you guys will enjoy that because you've been putting it in. I hope some other people will consider supporting on the Patreon, but if you can't do it right now, don't sweat it too hard, friends. I mostly just appreciate you coming on through, hanging out with me, and I hope that you'll come on back and hang out with me again tomorrow. In order to do so, you'll need to keep yourself safe out there, but also take some time out and do something that you personally enjoy today. Always remember, friends, that you are loved, you are worthy, and you definitely deserve it. I will see you in the next one, and until then, friends, bye-bye.